All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 4HBC webinar series. So tonight's webinar is going to focus on three unique 4-H projects. So over the next 90 minutes or less, we're going to explore the 4-H self-determined project, 4-H junior leadership, as well as the senior management projects. So we're going to discuss a bunch of different things, including the ways you can engage in these projects and steps to completing these projects, as well as how these projects can be beneficial beyond the 4-H scope as well. So we'll begin just with a quick round of introductions here. So my name is Jarrett Chung-Smith. I'm a youth development specialist with the BC Ministry of Agriculture and Food. I work closely with 4HBC on several programs, and one area of that is managing the senior management project. So I'll be speaking to that a little bit later on this evening. Karla.
Hello and welcome everybody. I'm glad everybody took some time out of their schedules to join us. I hope we can all take away something valuable from this webinar. So my name is Karla Berry and I'm the Youth Development Assistant. I'm half-time and I'm located in Williams Lake, and I've been approving and marking these projects for 20 plus years. So I hope I can answer all your questions. If not, we'll certainly figure out how to give you the answers.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, welcome Karla and welcome everyone tonight. So as we meet in this virtual environment, we're going to try to make things a little bit interactive tonight. So I wanted to start by learning a little bit about where you're joining from tonight. So you can see on the screen here a map that shows all the different 4-H regions across the province. So what I'd like you to do is just use the annotate function on your device there. It should be a little pencil. If you want to just drop a symbol or a star or whatever you'd like, you can even type something on where you're joining tonight, and we'll see where we have people joining from. So I'll give you a few moments to do that. All right, see some in the Fraser Valley. Okay, a few more Fraser Valley there. Mackenzie, big star up in Yellowhead West region. Great, right in the middle of the province there. A few more in the Fraser Valley. Awesome. I mentioned I'm joining from Vernon tonight, so I'm in the Kamloops Okanagan region. And Karla is a few hours away from me in Williams Lake in the central interior region. Awesome. All right. I'll clear all your grade drawings off there. Okay. Awesome. So great to see that many of you are joining in different parts of the province here, and hopefully as we go along, you'll be able to interact a little bit more and share your thoughts and join in on the discussion as we talk about all these great project opportunities for 4-H members. Okay, so what are we going to cover tonight? So we're going to begin by examining what projects exist and test your knowledge about them. So we're going to launch a few poll questions in a couple minutes here to sort of gauge your knowledge that way. We're going to go through each of the self-determined senior management and junior leadership projects in a lot more detail. So here we're going to discuss everything from ideas to help you select a project topic, project resources, as well as completing said projects. We're going to share some tips to help you be successful in your chosen project. I know there's a few leaders joining as well tonight, so we're going to touch on the role of the project leader and working with members on these projects. And then we're going to conclude by discussing different 4-H award and other opportunities that exist beyond 4-H by way of taking on these projects. So lots of opportunities from taking on these senior projects. So Karla is an expert in all things in that area, so we'll get into those as we wrap up tonight. So we want to just begin by doing a quick pre-assessment to get a sense of why you're participating in this webinar tonight. So here's your first question. It's going to be, what is your interest in self-determined junior leader senior management projects? So I'm just going to launch a poll here. That should appear on your screen right now. So I'll give you a moment to participate in that. You can only select one answer, but certainly if, choose the one that speaks to you the most. But there might be multiple reasons that way. And if I haven't listed why you're here tonight on the screen, you can click other as well, and you can share with the group as to why you might be joining. Let's share the results. All right, so you should be able to see that now. So we have one response. I plan to complete a project this year. That's awesome. This is perfect for you joining tonight to learn a little bit more about that. Not sure yet, a couple not sure yet, but curious to learn more. That's excellent as well. That's why we're here to share all about it, and hopefully you'll take something away that way. Roni and Chloe said we had two answers. I'm a leader and we're interested in learning more. That is awesome. Were you the other? Did you select other? Or is that someone else? Okay, who selected other?
I did.
Oh, Karla, why are you here?
I'm here. Well, just to listen, learn.
Exactly. Yeah, even from our end, we can always learn a little bit about what interests you most about these projects and how we can help you with those as we oversee them from a provincial 4-H standpoint. So that is excellent. Awesome. All right. Just one more question for you here. So this one, what appeals to you most about these projects? So I want to try something new, such as a new project, a new skill, something like that. I want to challenge myself in an area that I am experienced. I want to teach other 4-H members new skills. That's always great. Maybe you're interested in learning about the external credit or 4-H award opportunities. So we'll touch on that. Or again, you're a leader who's interested in supporting members with these projects. Or other. So I will give you a few moments to respond to that. Great. Okay, I'll share the results with you here. All right, so a few of you are here you want to try something new. That's great to expand your 4-H project knowledge that way. So that's excellent to hear. And want to learn I want to earn external 4-H credits and a reward. So that is great as well. So we'll get into that like I mentioned. Okay. All right, so no matter why you are joining tonight, our hope is that you are able to learn something new, and this information shared helps put you on the path to be successful in any of these projects, whether that's this year or in the future. All right. So we're going to keep the interactive pieces going a little bit further here. So just to sort of open us up and kind of learning about what each of these projects is all about, I wanted to first just sort of test your knowledge on what you know already. So you can see here we have a table that describes the important elements about each of these projects here, including time frame, focus, proposals, as well as evaluation of these projects. But you'll also notice that there are a few blanks. So we're going to go through all the lines in here and fill out this table together. Again, I'll launch a poll with the question to see what you think is the answer, and then we'll discuss it as a group that way. So we'll start by talking about the length of the project. So you can see here that the junior leadership project is 4 to 6 months long. So that's kind of along the same lines as your standard 4-H project that you probably participated in before, are usually around 4 to 6 months in length. You'll see the senior management project in the middle there is 10 to 12 months. So we'll explain why it's like this in a little bit here, but quite a bit longer and more of a year-long project. But what about the self-determined project? How long do you think that is? So I'm going to put up the question for you here. Again, you'll see it is multiple choice, so choose whatever you think, and then we'll talk about it as a group. So your options are 1 to 3 months, 4 to 6 months, 10 to 12 months, or it depends on the project type and or age of the participant. I'll give you a few more minutes or moments, sorry, to participate here. All right. Okay, so let's see what we got. All right, so we have one answer for 4 to 6 months and one answer or two answers for 10 to 12 months. So you are both correct, actually. This was a bit of a trick question. So it is in fact both of those. It depends. And again, Karla will get into this in a few moments here. But with self-determined projects, there are different categories of those. 4 to 6 months for juniors or group self-determined, whereas the senior self-determined project is 10 to 12 months in length. All right, so we'll go next to the focus of these projects. So here you'll see here that the focus of the senior management project is a high-level project related to a project area, whereas a self-determined project is not necessarily related to a project area. It can be on any topic. But what do you think the focus of the junior leadership project is? So again, there you go. There's your question. What does the junior leadership project focus on? Possible answers include assistant to your 4-H club leader, teaching one aspect of 4-H work to the rest of the club, or planning a major event. Or the last option is working specifically with junior 4-H members. So let us know what you think. All right. Give it a few more seconds here, 10 seconds. Get those answers in. All right, let's see what we have. Okay, so the majority said teaching one aspect of 4-H work to the rest of the club or planning a major event. And another respondent said working specifically with junior members. So let's see what the answer is. All right, so the answer is teaching one aspect of 4-H work to the rest of the club or planning a major event. So again, a little bit of a trick question because as part of that, you could be working specifically with junior 4-H members or clover buds or things like that. Karla, again, will get into this a little bit later and explain some of the different topics you might engage with that way. But luckily, you didn't answer assistant to your 4-H club leader. Certainly, a junior leader can provide assistance by teaching one area within the club, but it is not the junior leader's responsibility to get the club leader coffee or whatnot at an event. So that is great. Okay, so next one here, you'll see these next two lines are fully empty. So we're going to talk about proposals here. So these projects are a little bit unique in nature that way around proposals. So I'm going to launch our third question for you. Now, in order to start these projects, you do need to have your proposal approved. So you have to apply and get that approved. But when are proposals for each of these projects due? So your possible answers are there is no deadline, January 1st, March 31st, or April 30th. All right, so it looks like everyone has participated. Okay, so one person said that there is no deadline, and two said March 31st. All right, let's see what we have. So the answer is there is no deadline. So these can all be submitted on an ongoing basis throughout the year. Now, previously, so you might be familiar with this, the deadline used to be March 31st. So that's maybe where you're getting that from. But in recent years, we did change that to allow a continual rolling intake of these applications. We'll get into some more details about those proposals and applications as we continue on tonight. All right, so one last question for you here. So similar, these projects, of course, require a proposal, but they also must be submitted for marking at the end of the project that way. So the question for you here is, who evaluates these completed projects? So your possible answers are your club leader or project leader, youth development staff, so myself or Karla, your leader as well as the youth development staff, or an expert on your project topic. All right, looks like everyone has participated. All right, so we'll share the results there. It's a split here between club leader and leader and youth development staff. So the answer here is both your leader as well as youth development program staff. So again, Karla and I will get into all of these details about submitting your completed projects and marking there. But with each of these projects, there's both a leader component as well as a staff component for marking. We'll explain exactly why that exists in just a little bit. All right, so it sounds like you guys are all pretty well experts in these projects already. But with that, we're going to carry on here and we're going to get into a little bit more detail on these projects specifically. So with that, I will pass things over to Karla, who's going to talk about the self-determined project first.
Okay, there you have it, self-determined. So let's get at it. Next slide. So self-determined project, it's a for you type of project. So members will choose, plan, carry out, and evaluate a project on a topic of their choosing. A self-determined can focus on leisure activities, social community services, arts, culture, history, hobbies, or trip exchange. So over the many years that I've marked, I've probably had some of these. I've had lizards and bats and trips to another country. I've had somebody made a dog house and a greenhouse and those kind of things. So really, when it comes to a self-determined project, possibilities and options are unlimited. Just set your mind to whatever it is that you want to learn more about, and self-determined project will work for us. So there's three types of self-determined projects. The junior self-determined, again, we talked about a bit ago, was a 4 to 6 month project in length. It's an individual project, and again, satisfactory completion will result in an achievement. The group self-determined can be 2 or more members. Often it's a group that's kind of have a common goal. They all want to learn about the same thing. Again, it's a 4 to 6 month length in project, and it can be junior members and senior members. The individual project record keeping is tricky because in the group, if there's 4 or 5 in the group, they all might be working towards a common goal, but their record books have to be very unique and individual. So when I get them to mark them, they're not all the same. Everybody has a very unique record book. And again, satisfactory completion will result in achievement. So the senior self-determined project is the long one. Of course, it's 10 to 12 months in project length, and the individual project is a senior member with the junior proficiency certificate. And for this one, the 20 and 21-year-old members are eligible. It makes it good for the older senior members, as some of them are going away maybe to to university, it allows them to go away and still work on a project for that 10 to 12 months by, and while they're away, they can be keeping in touch with their leader back home. 75% mark is required to earn your self-determined project certificate. And this certificate and completion of a self-determined project can be a stepping stone to your external high school credits. And we'll talk a little bit more on that later. So in getting started to do a self-determined project, it's quite important that you do some research. And here's some resources that you can go on the BC4H website and print these resources off. It's the self-determined project regulations. Always good to know the regulations before you get working on the project. The self-determined project guide has lots of useful information and ideas on how to select your project and work together with member and leader to pick a topic. The project approval request is just a few pages, and that's the pages that you will fill out when you're applying to do the project. Then the main part of it, the record book. In years past, there wasn't a record book. It was every member had to complete their own, but now we've got a record book, and although it doesn't have to be followed exactly to the T, it gives you lots and lots of ideas to how to put a good record book together. Also it's a project scorecard, and with the scorecard are the evaluation questions that when the member is finished the project, the leader will take the scorecard and complete the leader part of the scorecard. Plus there's evaluation questions that help the member and help me as marking to find out what the member learned through working with the project and just how they self-evaluated themselves. So that is in with the 140H is a scorecard. And another good, excellent resource is talk to other members who have done a self-determined project themselves, and you can get some ideas from them. So again, you can download these publications by visiting the C4H website. And here's some questions. I think it'll talk about these questions in the guide. When you're selecting a project, the member needs to think about these things. So what do I enjoy? What am I good at? What have I done, or what do I need? It's good to be investigating or learning or looking at something that you want to learn about. It makes it much more interesting. So once the member has decided or has thought about these questions and what they'd like to do, it's important for the leader and the member to sit down, go through these questions, and then from that point they can come up with a topic for their self-determined project.
I did just see a hand pop up. Did you have a question there, Chloe?
Actually, I had a question. It's Ronnie. I'm sorry, for the senior record book, I'm going to be project lead on a self-determined project with one of our members, but I don't notice in the BC4H website self-determined senior record book. I see junior record book, but I don't see the senior.
So there is just one record book for the self-determined project. So it is publication number 5054.
Yeah,
So,
there's no 5054 here. However, we can talk about that later. There is a no.
oh, okay. Interesting. That should be there. I will make note of that, and we'll make sure that is available.
Thank you.
Yeah. So they are within the we should clarify they are within the secured pages on the 4HPC website. So logging in as a leader or a member to those, you can access that in project resources. So yeah, we've noticed there have been a few missing publications recently. So I will make note of that, and we'll make sure you do get access to those in no time. So
Thank you.
perfect. All right, back to you, Karla.
Okay, so those questions are something to reflect on, like, when you're choosing your project. So they may be helpful to come up with an idea, but the member and the leader need to sit down and discuss what they're going to do. So in applying for the project, you will have that publication 50/50. That's a project approval. And in those few pages of the project approval, the member will need to have a written plan for the project. So they'll have to decide month by month. If it's a senior self-determined, they will have to plan out 10 to 12 months and sort of decide what it is that they plan on doing each month. I kind of watch for that when I'm doing my marking to see if they've covered off everything that they plan on doing. Doesn't necessarily always have to be, because that's part of life. It doesn't always go as planned, but that's kind of, I use it as a guide for when I'm marking. So whether it's the junior self-determined or the group or the senior self-determined, the project approval request needs to have the written plan for the project and a monthly plan. For the group, it can just be one plan for the whole group. It doesn't have to all come in, like one from each. So that's for the applying for the project. And then once you have that done, have the application done, you can send off that project approval request to myself at that address, or you can email it to me as well, whatever works best. So completing your self-determined record book, these are the things that it must include. So you, when you send it to me for marking, I will need to see the approval pages as well, include those at the beginning. I will send an approval letter back to the member and the leader saying the project has been approved. I like to have those approval letters in the finished record book as well. So again, you will look at your monthly plan and you'll go through that in that monthly project record. You'll have a page and pictures and everything that you did to complete that monthly record in your book. So month by month, you'll have a series of pictures and what you did. Your achievement presentation should be included in there. And your book, your finished record book actually is your project story. I really need to see pictures. The photo album part is really important to me for marking. I can get a good sense and a good feel of what the project is about by pictures. So it's an absolute must to include pictures. Some people are doing videos, putting them on a disc or sending them to me, or a memory stick. That works as well. And at the very end, once you've got your book all in order and together, I suggest that you have somebody proofread it, check it for accuracy, grammar, spelling. I'm kind of a stickler on spelling, so to have it proofread and have the spelling corrected, because I do dock marks for poor spelling. And then at the end of everything, there's the member self-evaluation. Those are the questions that I will send when I approve the project. I'll have those questions in there. So as you're working through your year with your project, you can refer back to those questions and self-evaluation and make sure that you're covering off everything that needs to be covered off. As well, I send the scorecards, so the leader will get the scorecard and fill out that part before it's mailed off to me. So individual record keeping is required for your group self-determined. Although they're all, the whole group is working towards a common goal, each member of the group has to complete a unique and separate record book. There can't be copying, they can't be, obviously similar. Each member has to do something that's unique. Did I see a question there, Jarrett? I thought I saw something flash up.
I have not seen any questions, but I'll keep an eye out for you, Karla.
Okay. Oh, there's one.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Tracy.
Unmute.
Oh, how long after completion of the project is the record book due?
You can send it again, like there's no deadline for the approval, so there's no deadline for the marking. So long as they've fulfilled that time requirement, like once the leaders filled out that they're part of the scorecard and it's all put together, you can send it in for marking.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would echo what Karla has said there. I typically sort of say, you don't want to leave it too long and no more than 6 months after your completed project, just because at that point you probably forgotten the project that you've done, or you've moved on to a new 4-H project, a new 4-H year that way. So certainly there's lots of wrap up to do at the end there. So you don't want to leave it too long that way.
So final steps, you submit your completed project record along with your leader portion of the scorecard to myself at the address here provided, and each member of the group must be evaluated individually. So when the leader is doing a scorecard for a group self-determined, each member will have to have a scorecard completed by the leader. Okay. So final steps, project achievement for a junior and group, the self-determined, the satisfactory completion will result in achievement. And usually the achievement, happens within your club at some point, at a fair or something like that, where they will display their record book. Senior self-determined members are required 75% mark to achieve a self-determined project certificate. When I mark and they get over 75%, I will print off the certificate and send that back with the marked book. So successful project completion can be used to achieving your high school credits, your external high school credits, and we'll maybe kind of look into that here a little bit later on. Okay, I'm done. I'm done my part. Any more questions? About self-determined, it's not too complex. It's if you just follow the record book, you'll see all the information that needs to go into a finished book. You just need to expand on it. So everything that's in there, there's pages in there. Work through those and just add lots and lots and lots of extras. Like that's what really makes a good finished self-determined record book.
Great, thanks, Karla. So we'll just pause for a moment if anyone has any further questions on self-determined projects. But certainly if something pops into your mind as we continue on here, we can circle back at the end. All right, not seeing any hands up, but we'll have some time for questions at the end as well. Okay, so next up, we're going to transition over to the senior management project, which is my department here. So the senior management project provides senior age 4-H members an opportunity to develop advanced skills and knowledge in their respective project area. So this project is designed to not only challenge senior members who have acquired the basic skills of their project work, but to proceed with a more complex self-directed project. So one important detail about senior management projects is that it must be carried over 10 to 12 months. So we talked about that at the beginning. This is a little bit different than your standard stream of 4-H projects that you might be more familiar with, that are anywhere between 3 to 6 months in length. So it truly is a year-long project period. Similar to the senior self-determined project, both 20 and 21-year-old members are also eligible to participate in the senior management project. And finally, successful completion of a senior management project can be used towards earning external high school credits. So Karla and I are going to discuss this when we wrap up this evening. So one question that I often get is, what is the difference between a senior management and a self-determined project? And oftentimes Karla and I are going back and forth to see which area the project fits into. So I want to just reiterate that first bullet point there, which I've highlighted respective project area. And that is really the biggest difference between these two projects. So all senior management projects are a unit within a respective 4-H project. So an example of this is a member might complete a senior management unit in the beef or sheep project, whereas self-determined projects are standalone and not directly related to another defined 4-H project area. So if you're planning one of these projects but aren't exactly sure where it fits, certainly you can contact Karla or myself, and we'd be happy to work with you to determine, which area your project is best suited for. I mean, bottom line is it'll fit into one of these areas. It just might be kind of in between, and we'll make sure we determine which is the most appropriate for your project topic. So with that in mind, let's look next at choosing a focus for your senior management project. So as I just mentioned, these projects are related to a specific project area. So the best place to start in considering your options are going to be to review your project-specific regulations. So the senior management unit is listed as the final unit in the project-specific regulations. And you can see here I've provided an example from the beef project. So in the beef project, senior management is unit 8. So within these regulations, you will find general eligibility and requirements, but it's also going to provide you with examples of different project ideas that would be suitable for senior management in that project area. Now, keep in mind that these are simply suggestions, but they do provide a good gauge to the level of difficulty and detail that is expected of senior management projects. So in this example I've provided here, oftentimes we see members, they'll take on the beef herd and raise 3 or more breeding animals, or do the mini feedlot project and raise 3 or more market animals. So that's sort of a good sort of gauge as to where the level of what we expect in senior management projects, but certainly the options are unlimited, really, and that's why we have the application and proposal for you to sort of find something related to your project area that you're interested in exploring further that way. So similar to the self-determined project, there are specific resources that'll be helpful to you in carrying through with a senior management project here. So again, there are the project-specific regulations that we mentioned. There is a senior management project approval request. So it's basically the same as the one Karla was explaining for self-determined, but this publication acts as your project application or proposal. So it provides a great template to create your project plan, and I'm going to discuss some of those details of creating your plan in just a few moments here. For the senior management project, there are 2 record book templates that exist. So because these are tied to a specific project area, there is one for livestock focused projects, and there's another record book for non-livestock projects. Now, the record book will be the base for which members are to complete their project record. But like all other project record books, this provides a good template for, what is expected in completing a quality and finished project record. Now, of course, each of your senior management projects are going to be very unique, so you are encouraged to add extra pages and items to best suit the needs of your project beyond what is provided in the record book template. We also have the senior management project scorecard. So this scorecard includes the evaluation criteria for both the project leader as well as my staff. So as we talked about at the beginning, there's both a leader evaluation component as well as a youth development program staff evaluation piece as well. And then very similar to what Karla shared with the self-determined project, certainly, you want to talk to other members who have completed senior management projects in the past. Your peers are always great resources to help you out as you take on a new project as well. Okay, so let's look next at how you can go about preparing your proposal and applying for a senior management project. So as we shared off the top, these projects need to be approved first by our staff prior to starting. So there's several reasons for this, but one of these is to ensure that projects are to the level expected of an advanced level 4-H project. We also use this process to help ensure that the project plans set out reasonable expectations that are achievable within the project period. And we'll work with both the member and the project leader to sort of flesh out those details of the plan prior to project approval. So using the senior management project approval request, you will create your proposal. So it's very important that all components of that application are filled out completely and accurately. So I'm not going to go through each of the application components today. I'll let you sort of take that away and do that on yourself as you look to apply. But I did want to just highlight a few of those areas in there. So first is the written plan for the project, and that provides a good template to detail your ideas and the project focus. So here you can outline the project idea you have decided on, what your goals are for that project and what you hope to learn, maybe some of the reasons that you selected this project, and what resources are going to be helpful to you to be successful in completing this project. So it's important that when members are planning the project, you want to think critically about all aspects of the project when you are completing this proposal. And then the last piece here is the monthly plan. So this is what you'll use to set up your project year. So as I talked about, it's a 10 to 12 month project, so it's quite lengthy. So it's helpful to sort of have a plan at the beginning as to how you see this project progressing as you go through. So it's important that as a member, you meet with your project leader to decide which ideas and activities you're going to cover, arrange your ideas so that there's, a natural progression in your project, and determine what will be completed over each month of the project. So some of the things you might want to consider when doing that is what is your plan of action? What do you want to accomplish over 10 to 12 months? And when do you plan on starting and finishing your project? Certainly that's important when you're applying to have those timelines in line to make sure you can achieve at the end of your project.
I think there's a question in the chat there, Jarrett.
Yeah, okay. So Mackenzie, for the senior management project, are you able to sell steers, for example, if doing the feedlot option at the 4-H auction? Yeah, that's actually a really good question. And one that I don't have a specific answer to because it is a little bit unique to the auction in which you are participating in. So certainly that's a question you're going to want to talk with the auction committee, if that's how you're going about it, to see what those options are. In my experience, sometimes they say, every member can only sell one project animal in an auction or something like that. But because it is a very unique, that way I would check in with the planners and organizers of that so you can plan your project accordingly that way. Oftentimes with these projects too, especially with the feedlot, it's a great example. Members might include a marketing component as part of their project, and that's a great opportunity for them to prepare for an auction or to sell their animals privately that way, and things like that. So lots of different options. I know that's not an exact answer for you, but certainly I would talk with your committee there to see what exists that way. Great. Okay, so once you've completed that proposal, you're going to want to go ahead and submit that to myself. So here you can see my mailing address there if you choose to send the hard copy. You can also send it directly to me by email. So both with this approval request as well as the self-determined one, they are set up as a fillable PDF, so you can complete all of that on the computer and just send it along in an email as well. We'll accept those. But directions on where to send these are included within the pages of the approval request form as well. So I just wanted to reiterate here, while there is no deadline to when these are submitted, just do allow a few weeks for approval that way. We'll try to get in touch as soon as we can and approve that project so you can get started. But oftentimes, there might be a little bit of back and forth to make sure that we've really, fleshed out that plan a little bit further before you do get your approval letter that way. And it's also just important to keep sort of those timelines in mind as to when you plan on starting your project and when you want to finish that, given the length of time that these projects do take. All All right, so next I wanted to discuss quickly just around project completion and specifically the record book component. So I mentioned there are two record book templates for the senior management project, and while your project is going to be unique, not all the pages will be applicable to your project, but you will need to add what we call extras to complete your project record. So that being said, there are 5 elements that must be included in your finished record book, no matter the project. So these include important project activities. So here you can provide commentary on all of your project activities throughout the year, and it sort of can act as a record of headlines that happen over the course of your project, both good and bad. So an example here is that, if you were in a livestock project, an important project activity could include changes to your feeding ration that you provided your animal, maybe sickness and treatments to your animals, things like that. We also have the achievement presentation. So senior management projects may be exhibited at a club achievement day, but could also be done in a variety of other settings. It really is dependent on the nature of your project. So either way, your finished record book needs to include a written report on how you shared your project with others and what you learned from that project. Similar to self-determined, we have the project story. So this is where you write the story of your year's project. And this can look different for every project again. But this is an opportunity to discuss your successes and mistakes, what you learned, and who helped you along your project. We also have the photo album, so we want to include lots of pictures throughout your entire project year. We always like to see all the different fun activities that you've done over the course of your project. And then the last piece is the member self-evaluation. So it's important to conduct a critical review of your project at year end. So the self-evaluation is an important part of completing your project. So we want you to take some time to reflect on all the work you've done and be thorough and detailed in doing so. So for more details on all of these elements, they are within the record book pages there and explain how you can go about completing that. But again, every project is going to be unique, so you might find different creative ways to be able to share these elements that way. All right, so you finished your record book, you've ensured all those required elements are included. So what are your next steps here? So as we shared, your project must first be submitted to your club leader or project leader for evaluation. Now this evaluation component accounts for 30% of the final mark. And leaders, I know there's a few of you here tonight, so it's important that you are providing meaningful and constructive comments in your evaluation as well. So things like, what did the member do well? How could they improve? So we do ask that you are detailed in your evaluation that's submitted as well. And then the final step is to submit your completed project record for staff evaluation. So this accounts for the remaining 70% of your score. So submitting your finished project is the same way that you applied for a senior management project, and that's by sending directly to me at the address that you see on the screen there. All right, so once that project has been evaluated, the record book will be returned to the member and project leader. For project achievement in the senior management project, members must earn a mark of at least 75%. Leaders, we do ask that you don't submit a record book if you don't think it will pass. That's okay. Simply go back, work with that member to improve it first, and then you can go ahead and submit it that way. If the member is successful in achieving, they will receive a senior management project certificate. And that successfully completed project can be used towards external high school credits, which we'll explain in just a few moments here. So that is a summary of everything to do with the senior management project. I'll pause for just a moment here. Does anyone have any questions on senior management? All right, not seeing any questions at the moment, but again, we'll have some time for questions at the end if anything pops up in the meantime. All right, so with that, I will pass things back to Karla who will talk about our final project here.
Okay, junior leadership project, a very helpful project for the club and the members. So what is a junior leadership project? For senior members to learn skills, including leadership, teaching, organization, self-confidence. This project can certainly help a member develop leadership skills. If you've got, if you've got a member that's shy or maybe is having struggles with public speaking, this is a type of project that can really build those leadership skills and some self-confidence. So the member will choose, plan, carry out, evaluate a project that will utilize their skills for the benefit of the 4-H club. So in a junior leader project, the eligibility and other requirements, it must be 13 years of age, and if it successfully has a junior proficiency certificate. Again, the 21-year-old members are eligible. These are where you find members that that have done maybe husbandry, showmanship, really excel, really shine in a certain area, and those are the type of members that are really good with the juniors and can really help out in that aspect. This project is a 4 to 6 month project. I know it says 4 to 6 months, but I always say 6 months of records is always better than 4. So even though it says 4 to 6 months, strive for more is always. What is a junior leadership project? To provide opportunities for personal development that challenges the needs and interests of the members, and to develop positive attitudes about helping others. Again, a junior leadership project is really focuses on mentoring and teaching and building those aspects of your senior members. And they provide assistance to the club leaders. I always have said that, what better way, club leaders, they always need some extra help, and what better way to get this extra help is with a junior leader. They can be so helpful, and they have the junior leaders, because they're seniors, they really bond well with the junior members, maybe more than an adult member. Those junior leaders really bond well with the juniors. And again, successful completion of the junior leader project can be a stepping stone to the external high school credits, and we'll talk more about that too. So getting started, again, we have the resources, the regulations. It's important to print off those resources listed there. Read through the project regulations first to just make sure that is in fact, what you're hoping for. The junior leader guide gives you lots of interesting information on choosing a project. Look for things that the junior leader maybe shines at. Those are the areas and avenues that you want to direct those senior members towards. The junior leader record book, it's all there. Again, it's just a record book that you need to add to create the best possible record book you can. And the scorecard, again, has the 2-part scorecard for the leaders part and the scorecard that I marked. And again, reach out to other junior leaders who have completed projects and just get some ideas from them. That's a very helpful way to find out what other junior leaders have done. And again, these publications can be downloaded from the BC4H website. So getting started, how and where members complete their junior leader projects. There's lots of avenues. Of course, club meetings is an area where I've always said that when you're having your club meetings, put the junior leader on the agenda at the club meetings, and get them to get up there in front of the rest of the club, tell them what a junior leader project is all about, explain what they're up to that month, and it's very good for helping them with maybe their shyness or their public speaking skills. Fairs, of course, is always where you can have junior leaders out there helping with fairs. You can, you know, they can do so much at the fairs, like by helping, particularly helping the leaders with the management of fairs. Again, they can do a junior leader project on achievement days. There's various events where they can plan and organize an event. Clinics like animal projects like showmanship or husbandry or farriers or veterinarians or something. Clinics are great for a junior leader project. And for a while, working with the Clover Buds was very, very popular. We were having junior leaders that were really being very helpful with Clover Buds. It seems to slow down a bit, but again, that's a great avenue, whereas the Clover Bud project will have the leader, but the junior leader can be very helpful with the Clover Bud project. So your possibilities for your junior leader projects are certainly unlimited. So applying for the project, you'll complete the pages 4 to 10. I actually have a record book here. Please, so the first few pages are written, just some information on the junior leader record book itself. Make sure on the page where you have your member information, your leader information, make sure that you really pay attention to that, because often if I don't get that information right, then it creates a lot of back and forth. Sometimes you don't have the addresses right. Make sure you've got your addresses right down to the postal code, because a lot of times they just put the street or whatever. They don't tell me what town they live in or whatever. So make sure that you've got all that filled out very complete. Also in these application pages 4 to 10 is a page for the yearly plan. Again, the project is 4 to 6 months, so the member should have a month by month plan, what they plan to do. And again, when I'm marking, I do compare back to that yearly plan to see that they have covered off what they set out to do. Doesn't always work out that way. We know that that's life. Sometimes it doesn't always work out according to the plan, but if they explain in their evaluation why they maybe didn't stick to their plan, that's okay. That's okay too. In this project plan, there's an area there for the leader to sign off, and just so that I know that the plan has passed through the leader's hands before it's come to me for approval. So again, pages 4 to 10. Some interesting pages, just so that I can learn more about that member that I know I'll be marking the project later on. So again, the project proposal will come to me either by mail, or you can send it to me in email as well. Just make sure as a leader that you've gone through that first before it sets off to me. Again, I watch for spelling, and so it's a leader's opportunity to kind of pass it back if it needs some improvement. Do it right off the bat. So the completed record book must include the project program plan. Now in the record book, there's a page for the planning. There's a plan page and an after the project is completed. So first of all, the member will complete how they plan to do that event, and then after they've had the event, then they turn the page and they complete the evaluation for that event. And at this time, again, in the record book, they'll complete that event, and they'll do the program plan, how it went. And then at this point, they will insert, the handouts or the quizzes or anything that pertain to that event, and pictures. And then the month goes by or whatever, then they do the next event and plan. If it's planning a major event, then there's a whole series of pages in the record book on how to plan a major event, all the different people that are involved, all your resources and everything. So there's pages for both either the major event it's okay if you're doing a junior leader project, if you want to do a few events, program pages, as well as a major event like that. I always am welcome to see some extras that you can. It's sometimes hard to spend the whole 4 to 6 months in planning a major event. So if you have a few program plans as well as the major event, that's good too. Photographs, I just can't say enough about the pictures in the record book. They really help me get a good feel for the junior leader project. I can really see what's happened, what's going on. So I can't say enough about sending lots of pictures. Again, at the end of the record book, there's a spot for the year-end summary, and I ask that members go into detail, use the whole space provided in those questions for your year-end summary. I don't like to see the big space there for a comment, and somebody writes, 2 or 3 words or 1 sentence. So make sure that you use that whole space provided for your year-end summary, and yeah, put some thought, some good thought into it. It's good reflection for your project. So your final steps, you'll submit your project record to your leader. Your leader will go through it, have a look through it. Again, leaders, if it's got spelling mistakes or it needs some extras or anything done, that's the time to sit back down with the member and say it needs more work. Don't send it off to myself or Jarrett and the senior management. If it's just not good enough, that's up to you to get them on track before it comes off to me. So again, the scorecard's a 2-part scorecard, and the leader will then fill out that part of the scorecard, and then it will come to me for final marking. So those books will be mailed to that address they're provided. So again, project achievement members are required a 75% mark to achieve their project. The junior leader project has 3 certificates. It has the bronze, the silver, and the gold certificates for each of those years completed. And if you just complete 1 year of a junior leader, then it can't be used for external credits. But they have for the junior leader project, because it's a smaller time frame of 4 to 6 months. If you have to do 3 years of junior leader project for it to pertain to the external high school credits. So project completion recommendations, be part of the club meetings each month. I talked about that earlier. It's so good for club meetings to put them right on the agenda, the junior leaders right on the agenda, so that they know ahead of time that they're going to get up in front of the club and talk about, how their junior leader project is progressing. And they can always be keeping club up to date on the progress. Another excellent thing about being part of the club meetings is it's good promotion for the junior leader projects. Like when other members, maybe even the juniors or other senior members are watching this other member, the junior leader project. It's good promotion. And maybe the next year you might find that you have some other senior members that want to take on a junior leader project. And again, refer often, even for the leaders, to make sure that you as well compare that the yearly plan with the finished book, and making sure that they've sort of tried to stay on task and completed all the things that they had planned.
Great. Thanks, Karla. Yeah, so certainly these completion recommendations, they apply to both the self-determined and senior management project as well. I'll just mention one thing on that monthly or yearly plan. So obviously you're setting this up at the beginning of the year when you submit your proposal. But if your plan changes slightly, that is okay. You might things might come up. You might, discover new opportunities with your project that you're willing to explore that way. But it is good to, refer back to your plan and keep it up to date, as it does help you track and achieve goals that you set out at the beginning of the year, like Karla mentioned, that way. So just before we get into our final sections here, does anyone have any questions for Karla on the Junior Leader project? Karla, I did have just one question for you. You mentioned the 3 years of junior leadership. Can this be a continuation year to year, or can you change the topic of your junior leader project? How does that work?
No, it doesn't matter what you choose for your topic. A lot of times I've approved a junior leader project. Say, for instance, the member has helped with showmanship or husbandry or something. And so for all of us, when we do it the first year, we do the best we can, and we get a mark, and whatever, maybe it's 75% or 80%. I always encourage them, if they want to go back and do that same junior leader project over husbandry or showmanship, because I always say it's an opportunity. They've done it a year, and now they can go back and do it the second year, and they can do the things that maybe they've said in the evaluation. Gee, I wish I would have done such and such better. If they want to take on that project again the second year, they can, it gives them an opportunity to do better at those things that they had hoped for. So yeah, they can do the same thing for the 3 years. I certainly, want to see them get better at it, or they can do something different every year. And it doesn't even have to be 1 year after the other. Like if they want to skip a year, whatever, but to get the benefit of the external credit program, or to get a high school credit, they do need to have 3 years of junior leader.
Great. Yes, definitely lots of options that way. Okay, so just a few more project recommendations here. So these ones are specific to the record keeping component, and this applies to the 3 projects we talked about tonight, but this would definitely apply to any 4-H project. And as everyone here is familiar, that record keeping is an important piece to the 4-H project completion. So you want to make sure that you're keeping good records of all that you do, and work on your record book often. You don't want to leave the record book to the last minute. It's hard to remember what you fed a steer 6 months ago if you don't record that information now. So make sure you're keeping up to date on your record keeping. We talked about this before, but include any relevant extras, things like handouts, charts, graphs, financial summaries, anything that and everything that's that pertains to the completion of your project that's going to help to enhance your project record book. Karla had mentioned this earlier, but if you have larger files such as videos or slideshows, maybe you did a presentation that was on the computer that you want to share as part of your project record, you can always include a flash drive with your record book. This is a great creative addition to your project to show off the different elements that you put into your project completion. We've mentioned this a few different times already, but we want to make sure that we're including lots of pictures. Pictures really help Karla and I in evaluating your project and really getting a feel for what you accomplished over the course of the year. Of course, we're not there to witness you completing your project, so it really helps us to see everything that you have accomplished that way. And with that, you've put in a tremendous amount of work with your project. Make sure you include captions with your pictures as well, so we know exactly what's going on in that photo, and who's involved in it as well. We've mentioned the scorecards for each of those 3 projects. You want to refer to those scorecards often, definitely at the start of the project when you're planning it out, but also as you continue that project and complete it as well, just to ensure that you are hitting all of your marks and you can get the best possible mark that way. So it's important to take a look at those scorecards. And finally, just, be mindful of neatness, spelling, accuracy of your information there. Your final mark will definitely be reflective of these things as well. And certainly from a leader's perspective, make sure you're assisting members to make sure that, they are including as much detail and information as possible to make it a complete 4-H project record book. Karla, did you have anything to add on that one?
Well, I was going to say something about the scorecard, because I know for both my junior leader and self-determined projects, one thing that's often on the scorecard that gets missed often is resources. Like, in the self-determined project, you're supposed to list the resources that you used to complete the project, and often, that doesn't even get done. And so of course I have the doc marks for that. And resources can be something as easy as a grandparent that might be helping a member with a woodworking project, or, even in the junior leader projects, if it's a mentor or somebody, that is a resource. But make sure, like Jarrett said, to have a look, review that scorecard before it comes to me for marking, and just tick off each thing to make sure that, that all of those aspects have been covered. So I just wanted to tuck that in there.
Great. So we also wanted to share just a few sort of recommendations for leaders as well, and what is your role in all of this? And as Karla and I have both shared already, you can you see where the leader is involved in all aspects of these projects, and being that they are very unique and self-guided, and there might be sort of a lack of defined 4-H resources to support leading the project. Oftentimes you'll need to seek out other information like mentors, things like that that Karla just mentioned. So it's really important for the leaders to provide that support in those areas. So it's important for project leaders to meet with the member monthly to provide ongoing encouragement and direction on their project and the activities that they're completing. Help to keep the member focused and on track, which includes keeping project records up to date, as we just talked about. Conducting an inspection of the project progress. So this will look very different depending on the type of project and what is being accomplished here. An example from ones that I see with the senior management end, oftentimes are livestock related projects. So an inspection of a project could be a husbandry check and those sorts of pieces. That's one example that way. We mentioned this earlier, but again, you want to provide meaningful and constructive comments in evaluating the project record book. Not only is this, primarily, important for the member and learning and growing within their project, but it's also helpful from Karla and my end as well in understanding what has been accomplished with the project and all the work that the member has put into completing this project as well. You want to complete the leader evaluation section of the project scorecard. So remember, this counts towards a percentage of the total score along with our evaluation, and do ensure that you are including the copy of your scorecard with the project submission there, so we can add up those totals and complete the final mark when we evaluate. And lastly, the role of the project leader is being responsible for submitting that project record book to myself or Karla for final evaluation. Karla, did you?
I was going to say, can I just add something here? One thing about probably all three of these projects, but what I find is during the summer months when everybody's busy and out of school and everybody's having fun, and it's important that the leaders stay in touch with that member doing that project, because a lot of times during those summer months when fun things are happening, and it's easy for the member to let things slip through the cracks, and they, if you're doing follow-up with that member, you can maybe help keep them focused and keep going forward, because it's just an easy time for the member to get behind and then give up. I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to complete. So I just really encourage leaders to to stick with their members through those summer months when other things are going on.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with that entirely. It's great. Okay. So our last piece here, and we've hinted on this many times throughout here, but how these projects can be used towards earning 4-H awards, as well as beyond that for the external credit opportunity that way. So as you can see by the graphic here, if you combine a project pin, which is 4 project senior skills, so those are things like judging,
Husbandry.
husbandry. Yeah, I was blanking there. Yeah, those sorts of project specific skills, you can earn a project pin. And then combining those with the 3 years of junior leadership that Karla mentioned, a 4-H senior management project certificate, or a senior 4-H self-determined certificate, you can earn an honor pin. And an honor pin represents those external grade 12 high school credits. So Karla, I'll turn it over to you as you manage this program here to explain a little bit about what those are all about.
Okay, so the project pin is an absolute must in achieving your honor certification to get the honor credits. So there's project pin and there's program pin if they want to do public speaking and that sort of program, get a program pin. But the project pin is the absolute must have to go all the way to the honor. So in this case, we're just showing you the senior projects because that is a stepping stone. The project pin plus any of those 3 projects that we spoke of tonight. So that will equal an honor pin. But if you want to look deeper into it, you got to get that publication 128 and look into that awards opportunities guide way at the back. There's a flow chart at the back that shows every possible avenue to work your way from project pin combined with this gives you an honor. So I certainly recommend that everybody get that publication 128 and look at those back pages where it talks about the external credits to see how the various projects, they're stepping stone to get your grade 12 credits. That's it. Those are in that opportunity guide on pages 44 or 45 somewhere. There's a real excellent flow chart you can have a look at. Any questions? External credits is way too big of a, it could be a whole webinar in itself, and it just is just a simple way of explaining it. But certainly give me a call and email me. I'll help you through any of those questions with external credits.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, we'll open up for any questions on the awards program there. But like Karla mentioned, there's so many different avenues to achieve these different pins and the different credits that are available. But certainly take a look at these options. 4-H members have a very unique opportunity to be able to translate 4-H specific skills into high school credits towards their graduation that way. So it's a great opportunity, and you don't want to miss out on those opportunities. So definitely look at the awards guide there. All right, so I know we're coming up on our time tonight, so we'll just do a little bit of wrap up here and then open it up for any final questions. But like we mentioned, Karla and I are happy to speak with you at any time if you want to talk a little bit more about the project opportunities, and definitely if you are applying for any of the 3 projects we talked about, we're happy to work with yourself and your project leader to make sure that you're going to set yourself up for a successful 4-H year that way. So all of our information is listed there, but you can also find that information within the project resources that we shared earlier as well. All right, so that concludes what we had to present on today, but I'll open it up for questions. Ronnie, Chloe, did you have a question there?
Yeah, I have just a couple questions on the self-determined, please. I'm just looking at the regulations, and for seniors, it's only Unit 3, correct?
Yes. Well,
And
senior members can be part of a group. Like,
okay, individual. And so that's 10 to 12 months long.
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. That was a bit of information. Okay. And then on the regulation says we're under evaluate. It says project to be exhibited on achievement day and or a self-evaluation by member to be carried out. Isn't it needs both, correct? Not an
Yeah.
and or?
Yeah, you need to achieve at a achievement day and the evaluation as well.
Okay. That's the only questions I had. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking. That's great.
Mackenzie.
I had a question about senior management project. Just like in general for like the feedlot or the breeding, if you're doing 3 animals, what does that look like when do you bring them to the fair? Do you show them? It might be different for each district. I don't know, but is there like a general, are you showing them in some way at the fair or anything like that?
Yeah, so it can vary for sure. You don't necessarily need to exhibit them at a fair per se. There are other ways to achieve with a senior management project that way. So just, given the nature, it might not be feasible to say, trailer three steers to a location that way or something like that. So there are different opportunities that way. I will just mention, and this kind of goes back to your earlier question too, is that with these projects, especially as senior management, and if you are carrying animals, those project animals can't be enrolled in another unit. So say one of those steers can't act as a market steer unit. They are specifically designated to your senior management project. So a member couldn't take one of those steers and exhibit it, say in a market steer class at a fair. If they were to exhibit in that case, they would be exhibiting individually with their project. And that's why we provide opportunities to achieve in different ways, because they don't necessarily fit in with all of the other project units that way. Yeah. Does that
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. Okay, so we'll hang on for any other questions, but I did want to just share here in the chat. I've just included a link to a short evaluation survey. So Karla and I really appreciate your feedback on everything tonight. So if you do have a couple moments to complete the survey, we welcome that. So you can follow the link, and certainly we'll follow up after this as well if you don't get to that tonight. But with that, again, we'll stick around for any final questions, but Karla, I wanted to turn it to you quickly if you had any last comments.
Nope, I don't think so. Just be sure to give me a call if you have any questions, because I'm here and I love questions, and by asking questions, we just get it right.
Awesome. All right, so if you do need to depart, I know we're coming up on our time, we'll let you do that. But again, on behalf of Karla and myself, we did want to really thank you for participating this evening. I know a few of you are interested already in taking on one of these projects, but if you were a little bit on the fence, hopefully this has helped you to sort of see your options and be able to move forward that way. All right, thank you very much, everyone, and have a great evening.